Welcome to our video on the Yoga Yama Brahmacharya. This is going to be our second practice to work on Brahmacharya, and we're going to incorporate some different ideas and different ways of moving our energy and focusing our attention. So we'll start out in hero pose, if that's a comfortable seat for you, with the hands at the heart, letting your eyes close and giving yourself a moment to center and ground yourself. As we begin to deepen the breath, we're going to use the movement with our hands known as Prana Mudra. It's hand movement of energy, movement of prana. As you inhale, turning the palms up, sweeping the air up as your lungs fill. Turning the palms down, pressing down toward the earth as you empty. So just riding the wave of breath with your hands. We'll come up to the top of your inhale and hold for just a few seconds with that fullness. Moving into your exhale, breathing out all of the air, and when you get to the bottom of your exhale, holding for a few seconds. Going back into your inhale, filling the lungs, holding the top of your inhale. Exhale, palms turn down, pressing down and holding the bottom of your exhale. We'll draw the hands back into the heart, tenting the fingers, drawing the palms out to the sides to come into Hakini Mudra, our mudra of concentration and focus. Pressing the palms back together. And then our second version of Prana Mudra is out to the sides. It's a lateral expansion with the breath. We inhale, sweep the arms open like you're stretching out an accordion. As you exhale, hands come back together, palms press into Anjali Mudra. Inhale, feel the sides of the ribcage expand to make more room for breath. As you exhale and the hands come together, the ribcage does the same thing. It draws in towards center to make a full exhale. Let this hand movement create a stronger connection between your breath and your movement. We'll take an inhale, and just like we did before, hold a few seconds at the top of your inhale. Move into your exhale and hold the bottom of your exhale for a few seconds. Inhale, fill the lungs, hold that fullness. Exhale, emptying the lungs, and hold that emptiness. We'll come back into Hakini Mudra, tenting the fingers together, creating that focus right in front of your heart. Palms pressed together, bow the head, let the hands float up past the forehead, up to the crown. And we return the hands into Hakini Mudra, creating this prism shape so that we can focus on the energy that is above us, whatever we believe to be our higher power. Moving the hands back down to the earth and bowing your forehead to the earth in this very humble gesture. Lifting up into table, coming onto hands and knees. We'll exhale, bow down, drop the forehead to the floor, bending the elbows straight back so that the forearms are parallel as you lower down. 3 breaths like that. Lower down, inhale, lift up. We'll start to walk the arms out in front, coming into puppy pose. And for this one, we're trying to drop our head down toward the floor, but most importantly, trying to melt your heart down toward the floor. So we get this really nice opening in our upper back, in our thoracic spine. Then we'll start to move all the way down onto the belly, coming into full prostration. This is a very humble position for the body. And we'll lift up into a back bend. As you inhale, lifting the head and the upper back and the arms. Exhale, lower down. Just moving with your breath in and out of the pose. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Stretch the arms out over your head, bringing the hands back into Hakini Mudra. And again, that focus of what is above us, what is beyond us. Drawing the hands back, and we'll go backwards through that sequence, starting with your back bend. Inhale the arms, and maybe this time the legs want to come up, engaging all the muscles in the back of the body. As you inhale and lift up, keep the fingers wide, lift with the upper back, the back of the heart, keeping the legs strong. We'll draw ourselves back into our puppy pose, keeping the hips high and dropping the forehead to the earth, bowing down. Walking the hands back into table. And from table, we'll go back into that bowing movement, bending the elbows straight back, keeping the forearms parallel and the elbows tucked in. So we work on our upper back strength and stability with this movement. Bowing down, inhale, pressing up. Widen your knees out to the sides of your mat and let yourself drop into a wide leg child's pose, bringing the hands into prayer or into Hakini Mudra over the crown of your head. As we inhale, start to lift back up into sitting, touching hands to the forehead, reaching up above the head, tenting the fingers into Hakini Mudra, and folding palms to forehead, palms to heart, releasing the hands back down to the floor. This time we will curl the toes underneath to lift the hips up into downward facing dog. Giving yourself some time to sway the hips side to side and really work into your down dog, creating space in the side body. Bending the knees, scooping the hips back. Taking a few rounds of movement like that to really deepen your down dog and create this sense of pulling the weight away from the upper body. Now let's start with the right leg. We're going to tuck the knee underneath and step the right foot up into your high lunge. Letting yourself settle in your high lunge, we'll drop the back knee. Settle that knee onto the ground, and as you inhale, lift your arms up into a low lunge or Anjaneyasana. Hands come together, past the forehead, settle to the heart. We'll bring our Prana Mudra into our lunge. It's a really great way to create some movement here. As you inhale, expanding the arms out to the sides, create that lateral breath. You can deepen your lunge. And as you exhale, pull back out of it and draw the hands into the heart. Working your lunge as you work your breath. Moving the prana, moving the energy with your hands. Keeping that breath really smooth. We'll inhale, hold the top of your inhale, hold fullness. Exhale, hands come together. Pause at the end of your exhale. And then we'll inhale, bring the arms up overhead again. Find your Hakini Mudra over the crown. Hands come down, tap the forehead, tap the heart. Drop your palms back down onto the floor. Curl your back toes underneath. Step your right foot back into downward facing dog. Doing some movements there, pedaling the feet, swaying the hips side to side, settle into it. Then we go right over to the other side. Step your left foot up in between the hands. Let your back knee drop down. Inhale, sweep up into a low lunge, finding Anjaneyasana. Hands past the forehead, settle into the heart. Beginning to work your breath on this side with our Prana Mudra. Opening out to the sides, creating space as the rib cage fills with breath. Exhale, draw the palms together, draw the rib cage together. Creating a slight sway in your lunge as you do that. Dropping the hips forward as you expand, drawing them back as you contract. At the top of your inhale, we'll hold that. At the bottom of your exhale, hold for a few seconds. Inhale, hold fullness. Exhale, pause in emptiness. Sweeping the palms up to the forehead, and then over the crown, tenting the fingers out, finding Hakini Mudra, and focusing the mind on the connection, the unity with your higher power. Drop that back down to the forehead, to your heart, and the hands settle back down to the floor. Lift your back knee up. We'll bring our left leg back into down dog. Let your knees drop. Let your hips drop back. Taking a few breaths in child's pose to create some space in your practice. Inhale back up through table. Let the hips move back. Roll yourself down onto your belly. Stretch the arms out front. Fingertips joined together. Keep the palms of the hands opened out to the side. Create that mudra of focus and concentration. Walking the hands back. Bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. Moving knees back underneath the hips. Let the hips drop back into child's pose. Hands come into prayer or Hakini Mudra over the crown. We'll lift back up into table. Curl your toes under and scoop yourself back into down dog. Pedaling if you need to stretch out the calves. We'll come back over to the right side. Carefully step your right foot up in between your hands. And then for this second round, we're going to take a high lunge. But of course, if high lunge doesn't work for you, you can always drop your back knee if you feel like you need more support. We're going to do some moving in this lunge. You might want to shorten your stance by bringing your back foot in closer. Starting to move the arms in our Prana Mudra to the front. Inhale, sweeping Prana up. Exhale, pressing down with Apana, downward force. Inhale, straightening through the front leg. Exhale, bending into the front knee. There's a movement in and out of your lunge that mirrors your breath and mirrors your hand movement. It's a full body connection to the flow of your breath. Taking your inhale all the way up to the top. Find that fullness of the breath. Move into your exhale, breathing everything out and pausing in stillness. Inhale, filling, lifting the arms. Exhale, breathing everything out, stopping at the bottom. Hands come to the heart, tap the forehead, reach up over the crown, bringing your gaze up toward the tented fingers of Hakini Mudra. Focus on what is beyond yourself. Coming back past the forehead to the heart. Hands come down to the floor, right leg steps back, downward facing dog. Scooping the hips back, getting comfortable in your down dog. Then let's go over to the other side. Left leg comes up. Stepping in between the hands, shortening your stance just a bit so you have stability to move with your breath on this side as well. Arms sweep up. We'll start to move through our Prana Mudra. Arms sweeping with the breath, lifting up out of your lunge and sinking back down into it as you exhale. Inhale, lift toward the ceiling, lift your gaze. Exhale, press down, feel the heaviness and the settling as you breathe out. Moving at your pace, making sure that your breath is guiding the movement rather than your movement dictating your breath. We always move from a space of our breath. Inhale, lifting to the top of your breath, holding that. Going into your exhale, breathing everything out, stopping in stillness. Inhale, lifting. Hold the top. Exhale, breathing out. Hold at the bottom. Join the palms back together. Tap the forehead and tent the fingers, Hakini Mudra, over your crown, lifting your gaze. Connection to your higher power. Hands to the forehead, hands to the heart. Hands come back down to the floor. Hop your right foot, or your left foot, back into downward facing dog. Knees come back down to the floor. Dropping down into child's pose, hands come into prayer above your crown. Lifting up onto hands and knees. Take your exhale, bow onto the forearms, tap your forehead to the earth. Inhale, lift into table. Exhale, bow. Inhale, lift. Keeping that movement going, finding your pace. Moving the knees back slightly, walking the arms out, come into puppy pose. Anahata Asana is the heart opening pose, letting your heart melt down toward the floor. Rolling forward and bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. We'll take a few movements in our back bend, lifting maybe just the back and the arms, or maybe the legs want to join too. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, lower down. Moving with your breath. The arms stretch out in front, full prostration, full contact with the ground as a showing of our gratitude and a feeling of being humble in front of the Creator or your higher power. Hands come back underneath the shoulders. Moving through your back bend again. Inhale, lifting the back, the arms, fanning the fingers really wide. Lifting the legs, but reaching back through the toes. Keep length as you lift. And then we'll scoot the knees back underneath us. Walk the hands out into puppy pose or heart opening pose. Keeping your hips high as you let your chest and your heart sink to the floor. Walking your hands back underneath your shoulders, widen your knees. And then we'll take our 3 breaths. Exhaling, dip down to the floor, tap your forehead. Inhale, lifting up, keeping the elbows tight to the sides of the body as you go through that movement. And then knees go wide, and you can drop your hips back into child's pose. Palms join together into prayer above the crown. We'll settle here and slow our breath. Thank you for joining me in our yoga practice to draw Brahmacharya into our life. Namaste.